Hi, my name is Dan Meliza. I'm an associate professor at the University of Virginia in the Department of Psychology. And I teach a class on animal behavior and also another class on computational neuroscience. My research lab is focused on understanding the auditory system, and we primarily work in songbirds.
What advice would you give to your undergraduate self?
If I could tell myself one thing, it would be don't be afraid to engage intellectually with people who know more than you. Like a lot of people, I never wanted to look like I had the wrong idea about something or that I was making some obvious mistake. And so I think as a consequence, it was hard for me to ask questions or challenge ideas that seemed wrong. Even when I was pretty confident I was right, I was always thinking, well, what mistake am I making or what don't I understand? So it took me a long time to, really feel confident enough in my ideas to express them, especially to more senior researchers.
What does your research focus on?
So my lab studies how early auditory experience shapes the way that the brain processes complex sounds used in communication. So we're very interested in how the brain solves the problem of learning what the structure of those complex sounds is when there's lots of other things going on. So this is clearly interesting from a human perspective because as babies, we're not born with the ability to speak or to understand language. We learn the structure of language by hearing what adults and caregivers are saying. We're interested in the neural mechanisms, the underlying biology of the brain cells and how they connect to each other and how they integrate information and how neural circuits perform computations. So to get at that mechanistic level of detail, we work in songbirds. They're a lot like humans in how they learn to communicate vocally. They're born with particular species dispositions to the types of songs that they sing, but they have to learn a lot about the structure of that song through auditory experience and through practice. So songbirds are actually a very powerful model for understanding those aspects of auditory processing and vocal communication.
How did you choose your field of study?
I think brains are really fascinating. I think the most fascinating thing about them is that the brain constructs itself. And it's not at all like how humans build things where, we have a plan and then we get the parts and we put them together. And there's this period where we're doing the work of building. And then when we're done, then we can use it. The developing brain has to function the whole time that it's growing. And so it's like you have to live in the house while you're building it. And then on top of that, there's instructions in the genetic code that provide some of the basic structure of the brain, but a lot of that construction is based on the structure of the environment. The brain is adapting to the structure of the environment. And I think that's just really amazing and interesting to explore. I also really like being in nature. I like thinking about how different species behave in all these complex and different ways. And birds are kind of one of these birds are like sort of the first thing that you notice when you start doing that because they're out, they're doing their thing, and they're making noise, and they're a lot of them are really colorful and loud. The mammals are all hiding and sleeping and only come out at night. Once I learned that there was this whole field of neuroscience that was focused on birds and how they learn and how their brains develop, it was really a perfect fit with my interest in how the brain works.
If you were not a neuroscientist, what would you do?
My dream would have been I would love to be one of the geologists back in the days when people were working out the theory of plate tectonics. I think this goes back to my enjoyment of being in nature. I just love the idea that people were like their field site was the earth, and they would walk around and camp and knock rocks off of outcrops and try to sort of put together this picture of how this enormous thing that happened over billions of years occurred just from sort of really scraping at the surface in a lot of ways. So I think it would have been really exciting to be part of that. I guess more realistically, if I weren't a neuroscientist, I might be a lawyer because I like words and I like arguing about what words mean. I don't think I'd actually enjoy the job of being a lawyer. I think it's a little bit too much paperwork, but I think I probably would have been okay at it.